morning. I'm Carlton Sharp, pastor of Faith Christian Center Church right here in Beaumont, Texas. And we're here on what's happening in our neighborhood. And today my special guest is Miss Rashawn Webb Locke. Welcome, Rashawn.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Hey, listen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I am, as you said, Rashawn Webb Locke. I am a realtor with American Real Estate. I'm also the founder of the Sean Sold It Real Estate team, also for American Real Estate.
Oh, good, good. Now, are you local?
I am local. Thank you. I am local. We are local. Our main office is here in Beaumont, Texas, 6470 Phelan Boulevard. But we also service all of Southeast Texas, from Houston to Orange.
Wow, wow. So, how did you get started in real estate?
Well, I got started in real estate. Actually, I was with BISD for 15 years, and then I met my husband, who is a builder and a contractor, and so it just kind of made sense. You know, he kind of geared me into real estate and started dibbling and dabbling in it, and I love it. I love every minute of it, and it has paid off. I love making new relationships with clients, buyers, sellers, builders, and so that's how I got started in it.
Wow, wow, wow. So, so now let me ask you this. Since you're in the real estate business, how is the real estate market in Southeast Texas?
Okay, so right now it is what we call a seller's market.
Whoa.
Okay? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anytime we have a storm such as Hurricane Harvey or a tropical storm Imelda, it becomes a seller's market. And essentially what that means is that there are more buyers out there than there are homes right now. Okay, and so when it's a seller's market, sellers know that they don't have to negotiate as much if they don't want to. Yeah, so it's great for the seller, not so much for the buyer.
So so that means that that when a house is listed, there could be several offers that
and that's that's exactly what we're dealing with right now. Oh yeah, when it's a seller's market, a lot of times a home that's in a popular neighborhood and a popular price range, we get multiple offer situations all the time.
Wow, wow. So Rashawn, one of the things that I look at all the time is people who are living in an apartment. Can they be new homeowners?
Absolutely. People who are living in apartments, people who are leasing, people who are renting homes and apartments can absolutely become homeowners. They just have to take the necessary steps in the home buying process to do that.
Okay, so what are some of the first steps that if I am, let's just say that the viewers are watching today and they say, well, look, I've been in an apartment for a long time, I've been renting for a long time, or leasing for a long time.
Correct.
What are some of the first steps I need to do in order to prepare myself to become a homeowner? Okay,
so one of the first steps, and I get that question all the time, I'm glad you asked that. One of the first steps is to monitor your credit score. There are a plethora of apps out there and credit score monitoring apps that you can use, like Credit Karma, Capital One, to help monitor your credit. Know your credit scores.
But that's that nasty word, credit score.
It is.
No, nobody want to go look at their credit report.
They don't. But you know what? Hey, but you have to. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. You know, it's like that's like a taboo word. Credit. Yeah. But you know what? But your credit score is vital to home ownership. You know, it's vital to anything in life, you know, so knowing those credit scores, you know, because if you don't know that, then you're missing a very critical part of the home buying process.
So what does the credit score say about me?
Okay, so your credit score says about you that it reflects your payment history. Okay, if you're financing a car, if you have revolving debt, you know, such as credit cards, it shows basically your maturity towards home financing if you're able to pay those bills on time.
Wow. So so if I'm looking at buying a home, correct, should I have a certain credit score?
Good question. Get that all the time too. Absolutely. Yes, there is a magic number.
Okay, so what's the magic number?
Okay. For the most part, it does depend on the lender, but I will say this: most of your local lenders, 580 is that magic score that is qualifying. With most of your local lenders here, 580 is the qualifying credit score. Now, there's also a magic number for what we call DPA, or down payment assistance program.
Yeah.
And a lot of buyers want to take advantage of that DPA, the down payment assistance. And the magic score, the magic number for that is going to be 620, depending on the lender. Some lenders vary a little bit, and they will go as low as 600 minimum, FICO score. most lenders will want you to have a middle score of 620.
Okay, but so if you're in the 500s, you have hope.
There is hope. Absolutely. Absolutely. There is hope. I'm glad you said that. And so basically you have 3 scores, okay? You've got, because you have 3 reporting credit bureaus, you have TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, okay? So you've got 3 scores. The lender or the loan officer is going to take your middle score. So for example, if you have a 580, a 590, and a 600, well, that middle score is 590.
Okay.
So that would be qualifying.
All right. But they need to go out and find their score out to see what's on there, because most people are afraid to go find out what's on their report.
Right.
Because they probably say, well, my credit is so jacked up, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But
and they think it is.
Right. And sometimes it may not.
Right, exactly. And we run into that a lot. You know, I get phone calls from first-time home buyers all the time, and that's the first sentence that comes out of their mouth is, you know, Ms. Webb, can you help me with the home buying process? You know, I'm just afraid to get started because I know that my credit score is 589. And I'm thinking to myself, that's great. I'm glad your credit score is 589 because it's, you know, and then we send them to the lender, and of course, you know, most of the time they do know it. It's pretty close. And their middle score comes back, like you said, to be a 589, and they credit qualify.
Wow. Okay, so how much home can I qualify for?
Okay, so that depends as well.
Ooh,
okay,
okay,
good question.
come on.
No, these are some good
Hey,
questions.
tell me.
These are some good questions. Okay, so you've got 2 components to the home financing qualification process. You can credit qualify, okay, but then they've got to take into account your debt to income ratio. Okay, so that's the other component of actual qualifying for home financing. Okay, now to answer that question, how much home can I afford? That's going to be based on your income and your debt.
Okay, income and debt. Okay.
So the lender looks at your credit score, they look at the income that you have coming in, and they look at the debt that you have going out.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. And so now, do they also look at my consistency on my job?
Absolutely.
How long I've been there?
Absolutely.
How much money I make?
Absolutely. All of that. All of that. Absolutely. Absolutely. The lender would like for you to have a 2-year work history. Okay.
Gotcha.
They want you to have filed taxes for the previous 2 tax years.
Now, that's a good point. That's a very good point, because people think that I don't need to file taxes.
Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. I've run into that as well. My lenders and I have run into that where people had the income, but for whatever reason, they hadn't filed taxes for the previous year or the year before that. And it's like, you know, no, you got to file your taxes.
Wow. Okay, so income, file my taxes. What else? What else I need to be looking for?
You need to be making your payments on time. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. If you have credit cards, if you have financed furniture, if you're paying on a car, student loans, make the payments. Make them on time.
Now, don't say that they have more money than me. I don't need to pay them right now.
Okay.
Because when it comes down to you buying a house, that's gonna hurt you.
In what aspect?
It's going to hurt because it's going to show that you don't pay your bills if they don't pay.
Absolutely,
You know, if they don't pay.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Because some people will say, "Well, look, they have more money than me. I don't need to pay them right now." No, but it hurts.
It does
in the long
hurt
term.
you in the long term. Exactly. You know, even if you're making the minimum payment, it's showing that you have that what we call financial maturity to where you're paying your bills.
Yeah, I remember when I was messed up early in my life. Oh
we
my
all
God.
were.
Oh
We
my
all
God.
were.
And that's what scared me, because when we bought our first home, it was on a prayer.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
We had to pray.
Been there.
And look, so I want to let those folks who are watching today know that, hey, listen. There is hope for you.
Oh, absolutely.
But there's some things that you must do in order to get yourself prepared.
Right.
Now, so now let me ask this question. If I'm about to purchase a home, how much money do I need to have in the bank saved up?
Okay.
So I could qualify for home financing.
Okay. That varies as well. It's a good question, and I get that question a lot too. And it does vary. It varies by your lender, and it varies by your situation. Everyone's situation is unique to home buying. Okay. So, for example, what I like to use a round number. For example, I use $150,000 home.
I was gonna say that.
Right.
I was gonna say that.
You read my mind. I use that number because in Southeast Texas, that is the median price range for homes right now.
Okay. So in other words, that's the average going house.
Right.
3 bedroom, 2 bath.
There you go.
2-car
bedroom,
garage.
2 bath, 2-car garage. You got it there.
And
okay?
that's an already established home. That's not necessarily a new home.
Not necessarily. No, that's normally an existing home.
Right. Okay.
So we just use that as a as the norm.
So $150,000.
About $150,000 home. Okay. So most buyers are going to go either conventional or FHA financing. Okay. Which means your minimum down payment is going to be between 3 and 3.5%.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's 10% is $15,000. 5% is $7,500.
So about $5,000.
$5,000.
Perfect.
Hey.
Perfect. Well, so that's just for the down
So I'm
payment.
quick with numbers. I'm quick with numbers.
You are very good. Thank you. Quicker than I am.
So $5,000.
So about so
around.
That's the minimum down payment. Okay.
Okay.
Now that's not including your closing costs.
And that's what gets folk. Because there's some other costs that goes along with the closing costs that you need to understand.
Absolutely. You need to understand that there are closing costs associated with purchasing a home, not just the down payment. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we gotta pay the title company. We got to pay the lender for drawing up all those documents. The lender wants to get paid for running your credit report. The lawyer, that's right. The attorney everybody wants to get paid.
The appraisal?
Okay? There you go. The appraiser's got to get paid. The surveyor, got to get paid. Okay. The only person the buyer doesn't pay is the realtor. The seller pays that. But
wow.
Correct. Yeah, because there's a misconception there too.
Okay, we'll talk about let's finish that, and then we're going to talk about that because that's a good point.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
So let's go back to what's the cost that we need to have saved up. Okay. So we've got about the $5,000 established.
About $5,000.
Right, on $150,000. Okay. There's your down payment.
Okay.
Then you've got your closing costs, everything all encompassing that we just talked about. It runs on average about $7,000. Okay.
So now we're up to 12.
So now we're up to 12. Absolutely. Okay. So now we're at about $12,000. Now, here's where the magic comes in. If you've got a great lender and a great realtor working with you, their job is to get you to take advantage of down payment assistance programs. Okay, if you're qualifying.
620.
Good, very good. 620, absolutely. 620 credit score, and for your realtor to negotiate closing cost assistance from the seller once you have found a home. And you're negotiating. That's part of negotiation.
Okay, from the seller, and you have to have a good agent to do that.
Absolutely. Got to have a good agent to negotiate closing costs.
Closing costs. All right.
Okay, so let's say your lender is good and you're qualifying. You're at that 620 and you qualify for 5% down payment assistance. Okay.
Okay.
So you take that 5% of the $150,000.
5,000.
Okay. Well, 7,500.
7,500.
Because we're at 150.
We're at 150. Okay.
Yeah, so you take that 7,500.
All right.
Okay. So you take that 7,500 minus from the 12,000. Remember, we had a 12,000 total. Okay, you follow me?
I'm with you.
Okay.
So we're at 5,500. No, 4,500 now.
There you go. So now we're at no, you're right. Now we're at about 4,500.
Right.
Okay. Now let's say your awesome realtor negotiates $3,000 closing cost assistance.
So now we're down to 1,500.
Bam. There you go.
Oh my goodness.
And you'd be surprised how many buyers literally have come to the closing table with less than $2,000 just from down payment assistance and closing cost assistance. Yeah. And
the good thing is, most people don't understand that if they're paying $1,200 for an apartment note.
Oh my goodness. Correct.
Their mortgage may be less than that.
Well, and not only that. Okay, so glad you brought that up. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to that $150,000 home. Okay.
Yep.
So at $150,000, and I tell my buyers, rule of thumb is take 1% of that. That's $1,500 per month. Okay.
Yep.
But right now, with the homeowners and the tax rates, sometimes we can get a reduction minus $200 from that, and that puts you at about $1,300 a month. So right now you're paying $1,200 to $1,300 a month in rent when you could be putting that towards a mortgage on a $150,000 home.
And you have equity in that.
And you have equity in it. You're building equity in it. Every year that you live there, your neighborhood is appreciating, and you're building equity. Whereas when you're paying rent, you're getting nothing out of it. When we first got married, we were living in an apartment, and when we moved back to Beaumont,
I've spent on average $12,000 a year on my apartment, and that was back in 1987.
Right.
Right. And so. And when I left, I couldn't take any of that stuff with me. I couldn't take the chandelier.
That's right.
I couldn't take anything.
No, you can't take the ceiling fans. You can't take anything with you.
Anything.
Right.
I had nothing to take with me.
Right.
But I spent all this money, and yet I have nothing to leave for a legacy for children and grandchildren.
Absolutely.
Because I don't own it.
No, because you're paying someone else's mortgage.
That's
and
right.
you're building equity for them. So your landlord thanks you.
Yeah, he was thanking me every month too. Cause you're like, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
But here's a way, and that's what we want to let people know. There's a way for you to get your own home and leave a legacy for your children and grandchildren.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now we want to talk about having the right realtor.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So how do I find a right realtor?
Okay. So what you do is you find most realtors are found by referral. You know, word of mouth. You've known someone who's purchased a home, gone through the home buying process, sold a home, okay, and so you're referred. You can also find great realtors on social media. By the way, I'm on social media.
What say? Sean sold it.
Yeah, Sean sold it. Real estate team. Thank you. We are on social media. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're Sean Webb, Realtor for American Real Estate. Is
Okay.
also a great platform. It's also on Facebook business page and Instagram.
Wow. Okay.
Awesome.
Now earlier you mentioned about that the fees for the service that the real estate agents provide comes from the seller.
Comes from the seller, not the buyer. I've gotten that question
Okay,
before.
yeah.
We get into the home buying process, or first-time home buyers. They ask questions, and it's great that they ask questions because that's what we're here for, to answer anything they have. But one of the questions that comes up is, well, what's my fee to you? Nothing. You're the buyer.
Ooh.
I'm here to represent you.
That's good.
That's right. The seller pays those fees, not the buyer.
Okay, so would you say that it's not wise to have the real estate agent working for both parties?
Is that a trick question? No, I would not say that. And the reason I would say that, because it does happen. Okay, it's what we call intermediary.
Okay.
Okay. But what happens in that case is that, we have to answer to a broker. Okay, we have a brokerage. My broker is American Real Estate, of course. Okay.
Gotcha.
And of course, Jamie Hensley is my immediate broker. And so in those cases, because it does happen where you represent both sides, if you have an honest, ethical realtor and brokerage, it works out just fine. We do it all the time.
Okay, good.
To have both parties' interest at best heart. Now, there are things that we cannot disclose. When we're representing both, we can't disclose certain things to the buyer. We cannot disclose certain things to the seller to protect the confidentiality of both parties.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Gotcha.
But if we're ethical and we're doing what's right, those transactions take place all the time.
Okay, so maybe somebody's watching today, Sean, and say, well, look, I want to do this myself.
Okay.
What do the real estate agent provide that I can't do for myself?
Okay, as far as buying or selling?
Either way.
Okay. So buying, extremely risky to try to do it on your own because you're not being represented, okay?
That's good.
Yeah, you want to be represented when it comes to negotiating the terms of a contract. You got to remember, when you put an offer on a house, that's a legally binding contract, okay?
Ooh, man.
That's right. So you want to make sure you're putting down the correct amount of earnest money. You want to make sure your earnest money, which is like a security deposit, you want to make sure your earnest money is protected if something goes wrong during the transaction. When you, hire an inspector and go over the inspection report and determine that this needs to be repaired. How do you determine which repairs you can submit to the seller? And who's there to represent you if the seller says, I'm not making those repairs?
Ooh.
Somebody's got to be there to represent you to say, yeah, you are.
So it is wise to have representation at the table.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And listen, you don't want to be the doctor on yourself.
That's right. Exactly. Great analogy.
I can cut this myself. No.
That's right. No, you want to be represented from the inception of the home buying process all the way to the closing table, because especially if you're a first-time home buyer, whether first-time or a repeat home buyer, you want to have someone knowledgeable and honest who can hold your hand and walk you through every step and make sure you're doing it the right way and represent you to make sure that your best interest is there.
Okay. Now, if you are the seller, and I want to sell it myself.
Get a lot of those. I get a lot of for sale by owners.
Okay.
That try to sell it themselves in the beginning. Okay. But what they don't really...
What you say? They try to sell it in the beginning?
In the beginning. They do. They try it, and kudos for trying. But eventually, they end up reaching out to a realtor because they need to be represented as well.
Okay.
Again, when you're on the selling side, and a buyer, especially if a buyer is being represented. Oh, you better be represented as a seller, because when that buyer is represented by an agent that knows what they're doing, and they come to you with that inspection report, or they come to you with that appraisal, or that appraisal report has some things on there where it says subject to these repairs, and you don't know how to go about
It's
it.
concession time.
Oh my goodness, that's right. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. I posted something on my business page here recently. And it was like a little joke, a little meme about a for sale by owner. And basically, so the for sale by owner saved $9,000 in commission fees by doing it on his own, but he lost $19,000 because he didn't price the home accurately. And it happens. It was a joke, but it's reality. It does happen.
So with a real estate agent, you will help the buyer set the price, the seller set the price for their home.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I get that all the time. You know, I get for sale by owners. I talk to them and I say, well, how'd you get that price? Oh, well, I looked on Zillow and I saw what was selling around me. And my question to them is, but what was selling around you? What was the square footage of that home? Well, I don't know. Well, what was the condition of it? Well, I don't know. Well, did it have granite? Well, I don't know. Then how can you price your house comparable to the house next door? You
wow,
can't.
That's good there.
Yeah, you can't, and it's unfair. And if it doesn't appraise for that, you're really in trouble.
And if it prays for more than what you selling it for,
then you could have gotten more if you used an agent.
Oh yeah,
correct.
Yeah. Ooh. Hey, Sean, listen, we're about almost out of time for today.
Okay.
But is there any other steps that we need to look at in the home buying process that you could think of right off?
Well, absolutely. So the steps in the home buying process, and I'll make this brief. You've got your pre-approval, what we talked about. Find a good lender. Get a recommendation from your realtor on a good lender for a pre-approval. Get your pre-approval letter, and then you can begin house hunting. Okay, the house hunting. The next step, you negotiate an offer with your realtor. Okay, offer gets accepted. Put down your earnest money.
Hold up. Let me slow you down.
Sure.
We got time.
Okay.
We got time.
Okay.
So in the house hunting process, do I have to have an idea of where I want to live, what side of town I want to live in?
It would help. Not necessarily, but it would help. Yeah, the more specific you are with your agent, as far as price range, location, and what you're wanting in a home, your preferences, bedrooms, bathrooms, and whatnot, the better your agent is able to gauge what you want and send those homes to you.
So in other words, they need to have a vision for what they desire.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would help. Absolutely.
Yeah, because the more specific I can get with you,
right.
I want granite countertops.
Right.
You know, I want wood floors.
Right. I want a huge backyard. I want this area. I want this particular school.
Right.
Right. Absolutely.
And you could scale the search based upon what they describe.
Absolutely, and it helps a lot.
Okay. All right. So go ahead. You can finish.
Okay. So you find your house, and then you and your realtor, like I said, negotiate the offer. Okay. So you go through negotiations. Your offer gets accepted. You have to submit your earnest money deposit. Okay. Your earnest money is held by the title company until closing, okay, and then it gets credited back to the buyer, okay. The next step is to order your inspections, okay, get the house inspected and whatnot.
Don't buy without the inspection.
Oh my goodness.
Do not
vital, very
buy
vital.
without the inspection.
Yes. Strongly encourage all buyers to get it. Is worth every penny of the $500. It's about $500 on average, but it's worth every penny of it.
It's the best $500 you're gonna ever spend.
Absolutely.
Get the inspection.
Absolutely. Yeah, you said it right. Absolutely.
No. I want them to understand. Don't shortcut this process.
That's right.
Listen, if you're going through the home buying process, get the inspection.
Get your home inspections. Absolutely. Okay. And then the next step, you make it past the inspections, and then your lender orders the appraisal. Okay. You make it past the appraisal. Appraisal comes back good. The title company orders the survey, which shows your property boundaries. Okay. And then it's time to close.
Oh. And then once you close,
it's yours.
It's yours.
That's it. That's it.
Hey, listen. If you are renting a home or renting an apartment or leasing something, hey, it's time for you to start considering leaving a legacy for your children and your grandchildren. Because look, it doesn't matter right now. It's almost you can get you a house.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
You can find something to get in.
It's too easy to become a homeowner right now with the available resources that we have out there, and the awesome lenders that we have, awesome realtors that we have.
She raised her hand like, ah.
Yeah, but it really is. it's too easy to, and I'm not going to say just to get a house, but it's too easy to begin the process and start the process and go through the process. You have so many available resources to you to not become a homeowner right now.
Wow. Hey, listen, Sean, I'm giving you information right now. So tell us where we can contact you at.
Thank you. Yes, you can contact me at American Real Estate, 6470 Phelan Boulevard. My phone number is 409-554-6599, or you can email me at teamseansoldit@gmail.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Rashawn Webb Realtor for American Real Estate, and you can also find us on our team page on Facebook, and that would be the Sean Sold It Real Estate Team on Facebook and on Instagram.
Hey, listen, I have a great idea. If you have any questions that you would like to submit to us on what's happening in our neighborhood for us to, in the home buying process, that you would like to get those answered, go ahead and put it in the comment section, and we'll get back on another show and come back and get the answer to those questions. Because I believe that it's very important that each of us, get a part of this American dream and leave a legacy for our children and our grandchildren. And I believe home ownership is a great step in order to do that.
Absolutely. I agree.
Hey, Sean, one last thing, if you want to look at that camera right there and tell the people anything before we leave.
No, it's just a pleasure to be here. And again, if you have any questions, put them in the comment section, or you can text me, 409-554-6599. You can email me, RashawnRealtor@gmail.com. You have any questions about the home buying or home selling process, I'm here to answer those questions.
Hey, listen, I want to thank Sean for coming today, and I want to thank you for joining us on what's happening in our neighborhood. And listen, go out and get your home. Go get a home, right? Look, this is 2020. Go get your home this year. Hey, mention that before I let you go. How long does the process normally takes?
Okay, the process normally takes from the time that you begin the home buying process and place an offer on a home to closing, anywhere from 35 to 45 days. Now that's from offer to closing table. The actual home buying process, depending on your credit score, can take anywhere from a matter of days to a matter of months.
Wow. So however long it takes, yes. you need to get in a home this year.
Yeah.
Make it your goal this year to get into a home of your own. That's right, a home of your own.
That's right.
That's right.
You have to start.
You got to start.
Yep.
And here's the process. So listen, again, I want to thank Rashawn for joining us today, and I want to thank you for joining us on what's happening in our neighborhood. And we will see you next time on our broadcast. Be blessed. Bye-bye.